Hello, VG Silverhand. Welcome to Crossing the Streams. Thank you again for doing this, and it's really cool to get to sit down with you and have this discussion.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm very, very excited to be here, to bring my community over here and talk about them and what we do and all that kind of stuff. So thank you. I'm really honored to be a part of it. So I appreciate it.
Excellent. I can't wait to break on into this. We're going to start with the softest of questions. The softball is, what is your channel about, and what can people expect if they were to tune into your Twitch streams?
Well, if you can't tell by the name, VG Silverhand, I primarily based around Cyberpunk 2077. That's my brand. That's everything. So if you want to come in and get some good Cyberpunk action, hang out with a whole bunch of friends that we call Tombs. It's a really, really good time. We love to act like grown-up children and make silly adult jokes and stuff like that. But we absolutely have a really good time. I found a void kind of on Twitch when it came to Cyberpunk, and I was like, you know what? Like, this is a really good game. And I know that there's people out there that love it as much as I do. So when I got started, I was like, you know what? I'm going to start streaming and I'm going to see if I can find those other people that feel the same way that I do. So I'm very, very excited that it worked. Like I found my family out there, and it's very exciting. So
That's really awesome. So did you start straight, like right out of the gate on Twitch with Cyberpunk? Was that like right where you started?
I did, yeah. So my first stream was Cyberpunk. I think I stuck with Cyberpunk for a while before I started adding anything else to the channel. I did like Detroit Become Human every now and then, but Cyberpunk was definitely what brought everybody in and what we all bonded over. So it's been Cyberpunk since the beginning. Every now and then we'll do other things, but it's mostly Cyberpunk.
That's incredible to, like, right out of the gate decide, like, this is the game, right? Like, this is the thing that I'm going to do. What was your history with Twitch before you decided to just jump in and stream Cyberpunk?
So the funny thing with Twitch is I'm honestly a bit of a Twitch baby. Like I never really was on this website until the pandemic. I knew some friends that I met through Twitter, and he was a streamer, and he was like, "Oh hey, like come watch me on Twitch or whatever." And I was like, "Oh, okay, whatever that is." And so like I was like, what? I never understood it honestly for the longest time. And I've mentioned it in my chat before. And I was like, why would you watch somebody play video games? Like, that's so weird. Like, just play the game yourself. Like, I was one of those people for like the longest time. But I quickly realized that it was about the people, not just the video game. You're hanging out with your friends, and there's a community and all that kind of stuff. And so it took me a long time before I felt comfortable with being on a mic and all that kind of stuff. But my friends that I would game with for a while, they were like, "Hey, you know what? Like you've got like such a fun personality. Like you'd be really, really good at this. Like you should totally start streaming." And I was like, "No, I could never ever do that." Like I was terrified. With a lot of encouragement and stuff, I finally tried it. I actually did start a podcast with a friend, only for like 3 episodes ish, but I feel like that started to get me comfortable with talking and all that kind of stuff. So that was like the push I needed to get going on Twitch. But that's what got me started. So honestly, I've really only been around the Twitch scene since like maybe 2021, maybe.
Yeah.
Not very long.
Yeah. So under 2 years ish, around then.
Yeah.
Yeah. At that point, Cyberpunk was, how long was Cyberpunk out before then?
Cyberpunk came out, it was like the end of 2020. So by the time that I started streaming, that was this last year, 22. It had already been out about, kind of like a year, almost 2 years. It's weird with months and stuff because I started in February.
Right.
So, math. It had been out for a little while.
So were you playing it since its release, and then you decided to start streaming it later?
Pretty much. Like I picked it up in December of 2020. It was like right after Christmas. I started playing it, got obsessed with it, and it just quickly became my comfort game. I just fell in love with it. And I've played it on every platform at this point. I started off on PlayStation, moved over to Xbox, and then now I'm actually on PC. So I've been with Cyberpunk through its dark times, and I've seen it grow a lot. But I'm very happy to see where it's at now, which is it's grown quite a lot.
That's incredible that you've since its launch have been playing it, and like you said, you've gone from PlayStation to Xbox to now PC, and then you've spent an incredible amount of time in that world, and then you started a community on Twitch that alongside you has really, I'd say, embraced it. When you were starting out, what were those early days like, kind of getting acclimated to streaming and Twitch while playing Cyberpunk? How were those first streams for you?
The first streams were so nerve-wracking. Oh my gosh. I remember my first stream was like an unofficial test stream. It was about maybe 40 minutes, an hour long, talking about, figuring out audio and all that kind of stuff. But my first official stream, I think, was 2 hours. And I remember I was such a bundle of nerves that I about passed out asleep for like the next 5 hours. I was so tired from being stressed.
Yeah.
But I feel like as anyone who's ever streamed, like you can totally understand, like putting yourself out there is very scary. And we all hate the sound of our voice too. So I feel like I was very scared of what people were going to think of my voice. And which I've received a lot of compliments on, which I still don't understand why y'all like my voice. Because to me, I hate it, but y'all seem to love it, which I think is really cool. But yeah, so it was terrifying, honestly, the first few times. But I had a few friends that would show up consistently, and then it just started to grow from there. And then now it's super, super comfortable. Like I feel very cozy streaming now.
Those early streams are always tough when you've never done anything like it, especially on Twitch, or like you've never broadcasted on Twitch before. And then there's that whole getting used to, like, now there's a whole chat that's there potentially commenting on what's going on. I'd love to commend you on the voice thing, because I feel the same way about myself. Like, I'm not a big fan of my voice. What did it take for you to kind of come to terms with that? Was that just time, or was that something you've had to consciously work on and deal with? Or
let's see. I think the podcast, the few episodes that I did, were really good for that, because I could actually hear how I sounded. It was weird, but I mean, I was like, okay, I mean, I guess it sounds fine. And then I would go back and watch the VODs for audio issues. Oh yeah, because in the beginning when I started streaming, I had a ton of audio issues, just things with like the Elgato capture card and OBS and all that kind of stuff. I had an audio sync that was off by like 5 seconds, and it was honestly a train wreck in the beginning. So I had to keep watching it, and I had to. So I had to listen to my voice, and I think I just eventually got used to it. And then everybody in chat keeps saying that I have a really nice voice. So I'm like, well, I guess you guys are correct.
yeah, I could imagine just trying to kind of get used to that whole. Twitch is probably like unlike anything most of us have done before, right? Even if there's some kind of broadcast experience, which is still even not the typical experience for most Twitch streamers, it's definitely different to get used to that. What would you say was the most challenging thing to kind of get used to or acclimated to when you were getting into the whole thing?
I think I'm still not used to it. Just the random technical issues like we had today, right before starting all of this. I mean, right. It's like those little things are so stressful sometimes, because I did a Windows update, and then all of a sudden my mic wasn't being picked up by OBS. And like, you just have to figure out how to roll with these things. And it still stresses me out. But I think that's something that I've gotten really good at YouTubing things. If something's not working, just look it up on YouTube. I also have a lot of awesome, very technical people in my community that I'll reach out to and ask them for help. But I feel like that's the part that always gets me. Like, I'll be ready for stream, everything's all good, and then just something goes to crap, and I'm like, well, damn it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the technical issues and if you're listening to this as a recording or like a podcast on YouTube, there was definitely issues when we first went live. We had to straighten them out, and that is something. The technical issues, no matter I feel like how locked down things are, because I tested before we went live,
I'm
and
sure
then
you did. I
yeah.
believe you.
Yeah, and then guest stars, I don't know, threw me for a loop. But anyway, yeah, that's a whole thing. And I think admittedly, your like the ability to roll with technical issues is actually probably a big skill that most streamers have to worry about, unfortunately.
It definitely is.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's one of those things that I bought a new monitor one time, right? And I was so excited. I was like, yes, I finally have a 3 monitor setup. It's beautiful. I love it. And then out of the box, I guess it was borked because like the menu would pop up and then it would start changing the language of the menus to like Russian or something. I was so confused. And it was happening during stream. And it started like turning the monitor off, and I eventually had to just cancel the stream because I was like, I have a ghost in my monitor. Like, it's one of those things that I was like, there's nothing I can do about it. I usually am a lot better with handling it, but that one threw me for a loop. That
Oh
one
my
really
gosh.
did.
Yeah. Looking back at your time and getting adjusted to all of this and figuring out everything that comes with streaming, is there anything that you wish you had known going into it, whether it was a technical aspect or maybe even just like the mindset going into it? Is there something you wish you could have told yourself before you started streaming?
It's a good question. I feel like a lot of my things that I've learned along the way have been self-taught, which I still stand by that, like looking up things on YouTube, kind of just taking a deep breath when you get those technical issues. But I guess something I maybe would have told myself in the beginning is to try not to stress so much about that because your community will still be there for you because they understand it's not your fault that your monitor was borked out of the box. It just is what it is, you know?
Yeah.
So I think keeping that in mind, that your community will still be there for you no matter what. Also, a lesson that I'm still kind of working on is that it's good to take time off. Like if you're not feeling it, like you're not in a good mindset and stuff like that, it is good to take a day off. Your community will still be there for you. I know it's something that they know, like I hate taking a day off. And I always feel like really, really bad, but they're all like, no, seriously, like just take the day. It's fine. It's fine. We'll be here next time. So I think that's something I'm still working on, but I stressed out about that a lot in the beginning. So I think that's a good thing to keep in mind for everybody who streams is if you need a day or even a few, just take it, you know?
That plagues a lot of streamers, especially when you start to gain some momentum and your community is showing up and you kind of fall into a rhythm, and then it becomes one of those things where you want to continue to keep doing it, right? And then
Yeah, definitely.
you're realizing, oh, I can't stop today, or I can't take a break today. Things are good. We've had a really good week or month or whatever it looks like, and then it makes it really, really hard to even
Yeah,
just do it.
definitely.
Yeah. How do you make yourself take that time when you need to?
I would say a lot of it comes from my husband giving me the encouragement that I need because I'll usually have a conversation with him before I have to cancel or take any time off. And then he's the one that's like, that grounds me and is like, dude, you'll be fine. They will still be there. You need to be in a good place for your community because like when I start streaming, I always want it to be really fun and positive time. And like, if I'm not in the right mindset, I don't want to bring other people down. So I like to be a distraction for everybody. I don't want to be bringing my crap to everybody else. So I think it helps a lot talking to my hubby. He helps me a lot with that kind of stuff. So honestly, if it wasn't for him, I probably would have just pushed through it and then it would have been a subpar stream. So,
That is a really good lesson there in terms of having someone to talk to, being able to share those thoughts or those feelings with, and then being encouraged to, especially, I think our partners can generally tell when it's probably a good idea to take a break or
Yeah.
take
Yeah,
that
definitely.
time. Yeah, yeah, yeah. My wife, same deal. She'll be like, "Hey, do you just need to take the day? Do you need to not stream, or do you feel like this is?" She always asks, "Do you feel like you are in the right like headspace for it?" And
Yeah, for sure.
I will then answer yes or no, and then depending on that
Yeah.
answer is when Amor decides to take a break. It sounds
It's good to have.
yeah, it absolutely is. And it sounds like, your husband's been really supportive with the pursuit of content creation and streaming. How was that? How's that been when you got started, and how's that changed over the time since you've
He's
begun?
He's been amazing. For those of you who don't know, he's Dr. Nurse Man, which you've probably seen him in like maybe your chats or whatever. That's my husband. So he was really, really encouraging, and he was just gung ho the entire time. Was like, yeah, if that's something you want to do, then do it. And he's been behind the scenes coming up with ideas and like sound commands and all that kind of stuff. I think me coming onto Twitch was a really big deal for me because not everyone knows that I had a physical disability that I'm now stuck with from a workplace injury. And during the pandemic and all that kind of stuff, all of it was happening all at the same time. And I lost my job. And so I really wasn't doing anything for a really long time. So him pushing me to pursue this and end up on Twitch was really good for me mentally, to feel like I'm actually doing something with my day instead of just sleeping in and playing video games. But now I'm doing that, but then hanging out with everybody, and I feel like I'm actually making a difference in other people's lives, whether it's like literally just to make them smile or be distracted from the crap in their day and all that kind of stuff. So honestly, like, yeah, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for him pushing and supporting me. And I know that not a lot of spouses out there, one, even understand gaming, but then content creation is a whole nother thing. Like, we spend a lot of time behind the scenes working on stuff, and that's something that a lot of people don't see. Like, you're working on overlays and alerts and emotes and all that kind of stuff. Like, there's just so many little things that you're working on behind the scenes. And he's very, very encouraging, but he's also the one that's like, okay, you've done enough today. Come sit on the couch and let's go watch a TV show. So no, he's been fantastic throughout the entire thing. I'm very, very thankful for that.
I love it. I'm glad you have someone who's got you like that and can actually, it sounds like in both ways, tell you when to take a break, or in the other case, got you into this to kind of begin with getting that little push that you needed. So absolutely, that's really cool. So shout out to Dr. Nurse Man, who actually comes by my stream from time to time, and I love seeing them in there.
He does, yeah.
You've been streaming for around 2 years ish.
Actually, almost 1 year. I've been
Is it
on
1 year?
Twitch as a viewer.
Gotcha,
Yeah, so I've been
gotcha.
on Twitch as a viewer for about 2 years, but my
I
1 year
see.
anniversary of streaming is next month. So
Oh, wow. Well, congratulations on a
thank
year,
you.
or almost a year. In that time, what would you say has changed the most about the way you approach your stream and your community?
I feel like I've been blown away by the reaction I've had. I never expected to get our community to grow as fast as it did. So I feel like when I went into it, I was kind of just like, oh, like, I'm just going to try this, see if I can maybe make a little bit of money out of it, sort of a thing. But it's quickly changed into, the community is my family. I miss seeing them if I take a day off, or I have my 2 days off on Monday and Tuesday. Like, I'm desperate to get back on Wednesday. I'm like, I miss my tunes. I'm so ready to be back.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like it's wild. I never expected to find so many people on the internet that are so like-minded, that I find them to be like my family. But then at the same time, this has actually become something of a career for me. Like, it's actually working, so like, I never expected that. And I never expected to be doing something for money that I love so damn much. It's
Yeah.
just, it's so freaking fun. I love it so much.
I like the noting of just how your perspective has changed a little bit, and I would love to note that for some that's definitely the case where you kind of step in and you're like, oh, I'm gonna make content. This is gonna be cool, and then they start to build and establish that community, and they come to realize, that like you just said, building up this group of people who come together whenever you're live or they chat on your Discord, things like that. That's really kind of become the part that really means the most, is being able to really maintain those connections.
Oh,
That's
definitely.
yeah,
Yeah.
I love that.
Like my best friends I have met either through Twitter or Twitch, and it's like such real connections. Like I'll message them, be like, "Hey, how you doing?" Just like all kinds of stuff like that. Like, "Oh, I'm having a bad day at work," and whatever. Like it's such a real connection, and I never knew that you could find that on the internet. It was always like, "Oh, you're in real life friends." Like that's all that matters. But to be honest, I haven't seen some of my IRL friends in so long, probably pre-pandemic. So I'm like, I don't even really consider us friends anymore. I don't even
Mm,
know what you're doing. But like these people in my community, I spend so much time with them, more time than with my family sometimes. Like I just like we talk about all kinds of stuff in life. Like the other day we were playing Cyberpunk and we talked about all kinds of different things in life that have nothing to do with the game. And it's just become like we really talk about anything because we have such a genuine connection. It's wild. I never knew that this could actually be a thing. So it continues to blow me away.
I think that's awesome, and that's definitely like you. That's been my experience as well. Where I've made online friends before through MMOs and things like that. So I kind of expected that, but I think the connections that we make through these Twitch communities is always. I think a lot of us are surprised by it in a good way, that it just allows us to connect with all these people who initially might have some of the same interests, whether it be in a game or in my case something like Lego, and then it just kind of turns into this whole thing that's bigger than just that content or just that initial category of game. It's about legitimately getting to know people in your chat.
Oh, definitely. Definitely. It's really cool. I can't wrap my mind around how much they are like my actual family.
Mm.
I know I said it, but I'm reading some of like the comments and chat about like how connections on Twitch have like made them healthier and happier and stuff like that. And like I love that. I love that so much. And honestly, I found that even before I started streaming, I felt that way in other Twitch streamers, like just hanging out in their chats. Like I just felt better hanging out. I already felt like it was a home. And the fact that I've been able to create that with my community is really, really cool. Like just to be able to comfort others by hanging out with familiar people, I think is just awesome.
When you're not streaming, do you have any people on Twitch that inspire you, or other content creators that you really have just kind of, I guess, taken some inspiration from?
Oh, definitely. My number one go-to is Avij. I will always mention Avij. He also, like myself, has no camera. Is a partner here on Twitch, so he inspired me a lot with his content. He's super chill, has a wonderful community. So Avij has quickly become one of my closest friends, and I absolutely get a lot of inspiration from him. And yeah, shout out to Avij. I love Avij. He's amazing. Also, the brick building community as well, I think is amazing. I've picked up little things from honestly all of you from hanging out in your guys' chats, because as I play Cyberpunk, but really we're a lot of just chatting a lot of the time,
Yeah.
because we're playing a game, but I mean we're hanging out, we're chatting, all that kind of stuff. So I mean I've picked up on like the drop game, which I think is really fun, like words on stream, all these like little like mini games, but I feel like it's a really fun way to keep us all interacting and stuff like that. Stream Raiders as well. I picked up Stream Raiders from Avij. So there's all these just like little things that I pick up from other streamers, things that have worked for them. I love popping into other people's streams, see what works for them. I'm not trying to steal it, but you make it your own sort of thing for your own community. So I love hanging out with other streamers and seeing what works for them. It's really, really cool to see.
I would say there's a lot of people who have similar like chill vibes, right? Like you have in your own stream, even though we're building Lego, right? We kind of have that overlap of the atmosphere that we're trying to build when we're live. So that's really cool. And I remember, I think the first time that I talked to you or at least interacted with you was in a Panfred Nudo stream, I'm fairly sure.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it was Halloween. He was doing one of the scary games. Yeah.
Yeah. That's really cool. And then I decided to pop on over, and yeah, I've been hanging out and chilling in your streams as well. And you've definitely made me want to pick up Cyberpunk again and actually
I love that.
go through the whole thing, and then I'll have to I'll have to keep you updated on how my run goes, but definitely.
Ooh, definitely. Keep me posted for sure. Actually, I wanted to note on something, how I met all of you guys through the Lego community. And I think it's really funny how it stems back. So funny story. I was in a Vija's stream, and I think it was Foxy Moxie, his wonderful, wonderful mod, who used an emote. I want to say it was Foxy Moxie. It might have been someone else, but I want to say it was Foxy, who used Amish Aces emote. And I thought it was so cute. So I clicked on it, went to Amish's page. I liked him. I think it was while I was at Disneyland. Like, there's just so many of these random things that I remember about this whole story. So I liked on Amish's page. I think I was one of his milestones. I think it was like 4,500 or something like that. Followers, or I don't remember the number, but it was one of his milestones. And he actually reached out to me and said, like, hey, like you hit one of our milestones. I want to gift you a sub. But then when I popped in there, someone had already gifted me a sub. And it was just like this funny thing. And then through Amish, I ended up meeting Fred, and then I met you. And it's just, I love how it all sprinkled off of a Vija's stream with an emote. And like, I feel like that's such a genuine way how you find people on Twitch. And I think that's hilarious. Like, I found all of you amazing people through one emote in someone else's chat.
Wow, that's incredible. Thank you for sharing that. I love that story. And it's really crazy to believe that just an emote being used at one point in a given time, and then next thing you know, here you are in a podcast with one of those people that you've met along the way. And that's incredible. And it's stories like that really, they're really cool to hear, because you don't always know how people get plugged in, right? How they get involved. And it's just incredible to hear that it was all because of an emote.
I know, isn't that wild? I think it might have been the little one with the porg holding the heart. I want to say it was something like that. Yeah. And I was like, oh, dang, that's so cute. Look at those little Star Wars emotes. And then here we are.
Yeah. The power of the emote, the power of just seeing those get used in other chats is absolutely incredible. And, I'll be honest, there's been times where I've seen an emote. Like, where's that from? That's cool. I'm like that. And I click on it. And then, I kind of go down that rabbit hole, and I find myself in a chat, or like 2 or 3 channels removed from that initial emote that I clicked upon. And I think that's just amazing. And the fact that you found your way into this community, within this greater community of Lego builders and makers and crafters and things like that. That's incredible. So
I know. And also, thanks to that one emote, I've now gotten back into Lego. So I can blame the emote for enabling me. All of you guys enabled me. But now I finally am back into Lego from hanging out with you guys. So I hadn't honestly had a Lego set since I was probably like 10 or something. So that's been really cool.
I did not know about this. What have you been building?
Well, let's see. One of my first sets that I did was some of the Star Wars ships. I got a TIE fighter, and then I got the X-Wing set. And quickly, Dr. Nurseman got into it as well. And we got the giant, beautiful Disney castle. So we built that one together, which was really fun. And I also got Grogu for Christmas. I'm still working on it. Poor thing doesn't have a head. He's been sitting there without a head for probably like 2-3 weeks now. But I've loved it. It's so chill. It's very, very zen.
Yeah.
And I definitely thank all the Lego guys for getting me back into it, because y'all are amazing.
One of us.
Definitely.
Well, I'm glad you're into it. I'm glad you're getting in there and building some things. I definitely you touched on the main reason I build Lego is because I find it very just chill, and it really kind of helps me de-stress in a lot of ways, I found. And so I'm glad that that's kind of something that is what you're experiencing as well.
Yeah. I'll usually just pop on one of the Lego guys that's usually on in the evenings. It's either it was usually Fred or Amish that were on at the time, and so I would just be chilling, listening to chat while I'm working on my little Lego set, and it was really, really nice. Time flies when you build Lego. It's crazy.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, I built sets. I'm like, oh my gosh, I've been building for like in 2 hours. How did this happen? It felt like 15 minutes. So yeah,
it's crazy. It's a lot of fun though. I didn't realize how much I missed it.
Well, I'm glad that you've gotten back into it, and that you're building some alongside us when some of us are streaming. Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
I want to talk a little bit about camera. You mentioned that earlier. You don't stream with a camera, and I wanted to get your perspective as someone who is a content creator, streams, and you don't use one. I guess where to start on that particular subject. I guess your thoughts on cameras and using them, and kind of where you're at on it.
I have a lot of thoughts when it comes to the no camera thing, because it's been something I've been debating since I started streaming. Obviously, It's a very, very normal thing to have a camera on Twitch, and it's very not normal to not have a camera on Twitch. There's either like VTubers or the PNG tubers or whatever you want to call them. There's a whole bunch of people out there, but no cams aren't very normal. And well, first I mentioned it earlier, Avij doesn't have a camera, and he's a partner on Twitch. And I was like, well, it works for him, so why not me? So I started off that way. Also, it was a cost thing in the beginning as well. I was like, I don't want to buy a camera. It's expensive. So it also made it a little bit easier for me to get into it. I felt more comfortable not having the camera on me. And I have so many like random opinions about it too. Like, I feel like as a female streamer, a lot of the times it becomes about your appearance when you're streaming. And it's not like I feel uncomfortable in my skin or anything like that, but I feel like it shouldn't have to be about how I look. Like, it should be about the gameplay and the people that are there. Also, since the since the pandemic, I have had the pleasure of not having to put on makeup very often, not really having to do my hair a lot. So I feel really, really comfortable not having a camera, and I feel more natural being on stream, just kind of rolling out of bed, being in yoga pants and just chatting with all my friends and stuff. So, so there's like a lot of things to it. I've considered getting one, but at this point, my community is kind of like how you are with your alerts. That this is a follower alert. They would revolt if you got rid of them. I feel like they're kind of that way with the camera. They actually really like the immersion. Everyone thinks I look like this, that I look like my character, my V, and I'm okay with that. I really like that. In Cyberpunk, it's a very immersive game. It's first person. I feel like a camera can sometimes be distracting. Y'all be like looking at me instead of the gameplay. I think it just works. I don't know. I think specifically in Cyberpunk, it works really well. I've also talked about going to TwitchCon in the future and meeting people. So I would obviously have a face reveal. And again, there's some people in the community that they're like, just blur the picture so I don't have to see your face, because I like the mystery of it. And I get that. I think that's fun. I think it's really cool that like no one really knows what I look like.
Yeah.
Except actually, I have met one person on Twitch. I met Panfred We went out and we had dinner. He knows what Dr. Nurseman looks like too.
Yeah.
So, but I think it's fun. I think it's cool. It's the mystery of what does VG look like? Oh, she just looks like V.
Yeah.
That's VG.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I'm at with the camera. It's not necessary, especially for just the way that my stream is, you know. So
Yeah.
considered it for a minute, but I don't know. I went away from that.
You know, I think it's cool that you know, this is what I chose to do. This is totally fine with me. My community's totally fine with it. I think I love the fact that it's not honestly like a big deal, right? Like I think some people would
It's really not.
Yeah, some people would want to make a big deal out of it, but I think I think really what I appreciate about you and your community is you know, you are so engaged with everyone. You are reading chat, you're talking to them, you have your discussion with everyone that's there. A camera is not necessary to have this connection with VG the person, and you know, some would argue that the camera would help with that, but I feel like you do this with ease. You discuss whatever comes up with your chat, and you hang out and you engage with them, no problem. So that's very cool. I commend you on it, and
Thank you.
I love the fact that you just said that your community might even revolt if you start doing it.
Possibly. I asked them like about a week or so on stream, and I was like, hey, like, what would you guys think about a camera? And they're like, no, don't do it. It was everyone who has been there for a really long time were saying no, don't do it. And then anyone that was kind of like newer to the stream, they're like, yeah, get a camera. But all my long-term chooms were like, nah, don't do it.
Right. Yeah.
That's so funny. It's like the thing with cameras though, and I'll say that kind of with anything on Twitch, is I feel like if you're gonna do it, you definitely have to do it well, because like when I'm on somebody's stream and I see their camera, I will look at what's in the background 100%, because if it's on the screen, I'm looking at it.
Oh yeah.
So if I don't have a nice backdrop, I'm definitely not going to do it. That was the other part, is my setup is kind of like a living room sort of situation. Like I've got a couch behind me, like my dogs are there, Dr. Nurseman's chilling in the background watching TV. Like there's all these things that like it doesn't work in the space that I have. I mean, I could get a green screen, but still it just doesn't work. So I'm very thankful that my community loves the way that it is, and they're very, very happy with it.
I love it. I'm glad that, you know, I think honestly, as long as you're 100% comfortable, that's all that matters. And I'm glad that, you know, you are at that point where you're like you said, you talk to your community, and even your community for the most part, it's like, well, it's fine. You're fine. You don't need to do it. Don't. Why would you do it now? We've established this. So
I even thought about the VTube thing, doing like a VTuber sort of situation. And still they were like, nope, don't need it. Don't need it at all. You're fine. I have like a little avatar that I'll put up on stream. I got an artist to draw my character. And so she kind of chills out there. But I mean, again, it's not necessary at all. So, but I'm glad that they're so supportive.
Well, what would you tell someone who's on the fence about, like they're wanting to get started with streaming and they're on the fence about whether or not they want a camera? What would you tell them?
I would probably just say, do what you feel comfortable with. Do what feels right for you. Again, if you don't have a good setup, like you don't have lights or you have a messy background and stuff like that, it might just not be worth it for you. You can 100% engage and make a community without a camera. Pay attention to your chat. They're the most important thing. I always try and keep up with chat. I know I get behind sometimes and I'm like, I'm sorry, chat. I'm trying to catch up with y'all. But that's like the most important thing in streaming. It's not even gameplay. It's participating in chat. And there's some people that have a camera, which is like, cool, good for you. You have a camera, but then they'll be ignoring their chat the whole time. And it's kind of like, well, you don't need the camera if you're going to interact with chat. So that's kind of like where I find my balance. So I have a few friends who have started streaming as well who aren't using a camera, and it's totally fine because we have a fun time in chat and it's great. So do it if you want to, but you definitely don't need to.
Great advice. I completely agree with that. as long as you're comfortable with what you're doing. To share a little bit, early on I was trying to figure out if I wanted to have a camera or not. So I did streams, like I did almost half and half. I would do some streams where I had a camera. I would do streams where I didn't have a camera, and this was when I was mostly gaming content. So I had a game on screen, and I definitely was working on the engagement piece, right, talking to my chat. But I think I had the similar effect, because I think at one point I started leaning more towards camera just because I had it, I had it. And then when in the rare occasion that I would not have the camera, I feel like, chat gets used to things a certain way, right?
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
The chat has spoken.
Yeah. Yeah. I almost went, I tried both and I ended up going the camera route. But I think it's cool that, as long as you're comfortable, I've had newer streamers ask me the camera question in general, where they're like, should I use one? Should I not? And I would love to echo your advice, where it's like, well, it's really on you, because you're the creator. This is your channel. And it ultimately comes down to how comfortable you are and what you want to do with it. So if you want to have it, great. If you don't want to have it, great. Like there's no right. I don't think there's any right way in context of that specific question, right?
Yeah, definitely. I feel like every Twitch channel is completely different, whether it's the overlays or the emotes and your alerts and all that kind of stuff. Like, you got to just make it your own, make it what you're comfortable with, and go from there. And people will gravitate towards you when you're comfortable. If you're uncomfortable, they can probably sense it and they might not want to hang out. It's just like, if you're not comfortable on camera, then just don't do it.
Mhm.
Or one of our chums, Corey, actually was talking about it, how he puts himself on camera because he's uncomfortable, but he's trying to push himself outside of that comfort zone. And that works for him as well. So again, it's literally just what you want to do. Don't let bloggers or YouTubers be like, you have to have a camera if you want to be successful on Twitch. Like, don't listen to that.
Yeah.
Don't listen to any of that. Do what you want to do and what you find works for you.
Well said. Thank you for pointing that out. And, like you said, Avid here, who's here in chat, just said you can make partner with or without a camera. So do you. And that's
exactly.
I love it. I appreciate that perspective. I think more people should think that way when you're getting started, or even, if you're thinking about how you want to approach your stream. I think it's where you're feeling most comfortable and what you want to do. So. And Zach and Rutledge in chat saying your Twitch channel is your space, just like my channel is my space. And how dare you?
Exactly.
I agree with the sentiment. I don't appreciate the wordplay, but thank you, Zach.
MySpace.
MySpace, man. I thank you for sharing your thoughts on cameras, because I think that's something that doesn't come up a lot, honestly, on this show, although it's a topic that I think a lot of people think about. So thank you for that.
Yeah, definitely. Always happy to share.
So with about a year behind you in streaming, what were some of the most memorable moments for you? What are some of the coolest things that you can look back upon in the last year or so and say, man, that was just some of the best stuff I've ever experienced?
Let's see. Experiencing a big update with Cyberpunk was pretty wild. Cyberpunk Edgerunners, the anime came out, and Cyberpunk exploded. It was so cool to see. It was really fun because it was a game that I've loved for a really long time, and my community has loved for a really long time. But then all of a sudden, out of the woodwork, just all these new people are flooding into the stream. They're flooding into Cyberpunk. They're like, hey, I haven't tried this game since release. Like, is it good now? Like, can I try it out? And all this kind of stuff. And I mean, all of us in chat were like, yeah, it has been good, but welcome back. We'd like to welcome you back to Night City. But yeah, no, it was crazy. My numbers exploded. It was wild. I mean, obviously it died down after about like a month or something like that. But it was really, really cool to see the game that I love so much, that had such a rough start, find its way back and found a lot of new people in that time, and that was really, really cool. Another thing that I think I've really enjoyed out of this last year of streaming is joining the Sloth Crew stream team. Avij has always been my favorite streamer, and I have the honor of joining his stream team. And I've made so many genuine connections through that entire group. Again, they're all just like my family. They all make completely different content. It's been really awesome to be a part of it and to see them grow as well. So those have definitely been two of like the biggest things that I've taken out of this last year, and just in general, the growth that we've had on Discord and the stream and everything. Like it still blows my mind how I've been received on Twitch. It's very, very cool, very humbling, honestly, to see that we're at, I think, 1,700 followers in about a year. I could have never ever dreamed for that. So I'm very, very thankful for everyone who's been supporting me along the way.
It's hard to believe it's been a year, right? I mean, given
it's crazy. A year. It doesn't even feel like it at this point. I don't know. It's like, the speed bumps, getting everything settled into the stream.
Yeah.
I got past my nervousness and passing out for like 5 hours after a 2-hour stream and all that kind of stuff. Like I got through that, and then it's like you blink and all of a sudden it's been a year. Like, holy moly.
Yeah, time flies, definitely. With the nerves aspect of it, do you have any thoughts on getting over kind of getting nervous when getting into streaming in Twitch? Anything you would recommend for people to do as they try to get more comfortable with streaming?
I don't know. I don't think I have good advice. My advice is to just kind of push the button, just push the go live button and just do it. I don't know if that's good advice or bad advice, but you gotta kind of like, you gotta just do it, I think a big thing for me when I got started was I set my schedule. I did my best to stick to it. Kind of like if you had a normal job and you're like, this is when I'm scheduled to be, I'm going to be online. My friends are expecting me to be there. So I think that was a good thing for me mentally to start off with, was like keeping myself accountable to my own schedule. So I think it's important. I mean, you can always cancel a stream, of course, but I think it's good to just set a schedule so that people know when to expect you, and just hit the go live button. Just do it. Just get it over with. Just do it.
Great advice. And I think that's definitely something a lot of people need to hear, especially when they're either thinking about getting started or getting started themselves already. They've maybe done it a couple times. It's really like anything, right? It's just pushing the button, start streaming. That's the only way it's going to get easier is with practice and experience. I wish someone had told me that when I was contemplating it, or rather when I maybe started a little bit and then didn't really follow through for a long period of time. So absolutely agree on that in that respect.
You gotta just do it. And then it's like once you're live, well, you're live now. So now you got to continue through with it, right?
Yeah. Like you, I think is getting over the nerves of doing it, and then working on that, doing it for more than like an hour or hour and a half. 'Cause I had to kind of work my way up to doing longer streams because.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Me too. Like I started, it was probably like an hour or two. Then I got into like 3-4 hours, that kind of area. And then now like 6 is pretty much my normal stream time. 6 to 8 hours is pretty normal. It feels short now. If I cut it less than that, I'm like, wow, this is really short. But before that used to be a long stream.
Yeah. It's just, it just takes getting used to and being able to kind of build up, gosh, the lack of a better term, just like that stream endurance, right? Being able to
definitely, yes,
sit there and talk.
My voice would get tired after a while. I feel like that's something people don't talk about, is how do you keep your voice going for that long? Like talking for that many hours is not normal, especially if you're very introverted like I am, which if you believe that or not, I really don't like to leave my house and interact with people very often. Yeah, talking for for such a long time like that is crazy. I remember my 12-hour stream, I shocked myself that I was able to make it the whole time without losing my voice. It was crazy.
Yeah.
So yeah, it definitely takes practice for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I think a lot of newer streamers, they end up they get I think often get around that 2 to 3 hour mark, and they're already like, how do you guys do this? And
Yeah. It's
yeah,
hard in the beginning. It's definitely hard to get adjusted to, for sure.
yeah, it's really, yeah, it's difficult, and all I tend to offer to those streamers who mention that is it's just it's practice. It's just getting used to it. And like you, I think early on I would my throat would get tired trying to talk the whole time, and then by hour 2 I would feel like I couldn't talk a whole lot more because I was
Yeah,
just tired of it.
exactly. Yeah, your voice is just kind of like, yeah, you're done. You don't need to talk anymore.
The Grimner says, you know what one of the rewards of streaming is? When you affect someone in a positive way. And I want to highlight that because I think that's such a great thing to hear from a community member, and I want to put that out there. Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah, I agree. I agree with that so much. Sometimes as content creators, we don't actually realize how much of an impact we have on other people. I had a really, really bad anxiety day the other day. I had to cancel stream and all that. The first thing I did was I hopped over to Avij's stream and I just let it play. I just listened to it in the background, and that actually calmed me down a lot. And I've had some people in chat that have basically said the same thing with me, is that they'll be not feeling well or in a bad mood, and just listening to all of our crazy shenanigans that we get into on stream, or just hearing us chat and stuff like that, that it actually helps them a lot. So I think we just need to realize how much we actually do affect other people and how much they actually do care about us. I feel like sometimes we're like, oh, like no one would miss me if I didn't stream, but that's definitely not true. Not at all. Our community members are amazing, and I feel like we actually have a bigger impact than we realize.
Thank you for sharing that. I think as creators we have a hard time really quantifying that because we don't know how many of the people at a given time are even there. Even like
Yeah, very true.
even with the number on or off, like we never truly know how many people are listening or watching, because a lot of people like to lurk. And
Definitely.
yeah, even then we never truly know. And part of my story is I took a significant amount of time off from Twitch because I needed a break. And admittedly I had that feeling where it's like, who's gonna care? And
I feel like we all think that at some
yeah,
point.
yeah. And when I took my break, I started getting the occasional DM from someone saying, "Hey, hope you're doing good. Heard you're on a break. Really miss your streams." And it's messages like those that really kind of help remind us when we do this thing that, like you just said, that there's that impact. There's that impact and influence that we have, whether or not we're fully aware of it. So thank you for bringing that to light. I think a lot of people in communities may not think about that. A lot of streamers don't think about that, and creators, where you have that impact on others, whether you know it or not. That's good. This feels good.
Yeah.
We've kind of talked a little bit about your time getting started, how your content has evolved and grown, and your community in the same manner has grown over the last year or so. What is the overall intent for VG's community? Like where are you hope, or what are you hoping to build to for your channel and those in your community?
Let's see. I think when I started, I mentioned it earlier how I saw that there was kind of a void for Cyberpunk on Twitch. Since the beginning, I've kind of just kept that in my mind, that from what I always saw, like I was looking for Cyberpunk streamers and wanting to hang out and watch content and all that kind of stuff, that I want want to be the go-to person when you think of Cyberpunk. It's not like other games like ESO, or honestly like really much of anything that like somebody's just dedicated to it and you're like, oh, like there's tons of people that you can go watch play ESO or Fallout 76. Like there's all these kinds of people that are playing it, but like I wanted to create a dedicated home for my fellow Cyberpunk fans, which I mean, if you can't tell by like all the sound commands that we have and the emotes and all that, we've definitely made it very cozy for people who enjoy and love that game. So I've told everyone that I will always have Cyberpunk on the channel in some form, whether it's the majority of what we're streaming, which is what we're doing right now, and then with the DLC coming out in the future, I'll be streaming it like a mad woman, probably like every day when it comes out, because I'm excited to find all those other new tunes out there who are checking out Cyberpunk for the first time. So I mean, that's kind of my goal. It's worked so far. I just want to be like, if you want to watch Cyberpunk content, you think of VG, you come on over to our channel and you hang out with our awesome group. I do want to play other games, and I feel like that's something that is hard as a Twitch streamer once you've kind of found your thing. There's two kinds of people like on Twitch. There's like variety, and then there's those that they have their one thing, whether it's a game or like Lego or whatever. Like you have your one set thing, and it's very scary to reach out and play other games or do other content. Like I briefly talked about building Lego on stream. I think that would be super fun, very, very different. But I want to branch out a bit more, but I still want to keep Cyberpunk at like the core of our channels. That's where we make all the genuine connections and bring everybody to our Discord and all that kind of stuff. So it's kind of a mix. I want to keep everything the same, but also branch out a little bit more. Try a few other things this next year.
That's awesome. I think it's cool. And you know, I noticed that since you started playing on PC, you've been trying all kinds of different mods and things like that to kind of keep those new experiences within Cyberpunk rolling in, right?
Oh, it's been insane. Yeah. I've been a console player forever. Just like the Nintendo 64, like GameCube, all that kind of stuff. I've always just been built to be a console player. Had the PlayStation 4, switched over to Xbox, all that kind of stuff. And my community, actually, they were the ones that were like, you should play this on PC. You should play with mods and all this kind of stuff. And I never had the resources to play that way. Mm-hmm. And the computer that I had was like a hand-me-down from my great uncle, and it could barely run OBS and all that. So playing a game on it was just not something that I could do. They invested because now they've improved the content of my stream. So, but I really, really appreciate them, and it's given Cyberpunk a whole nother life for me. It's crazy. The simplest thing, like a hairstyle, was my first mod that I tried on. A hairstyle that someone in the game had, but then your character couldn't have it. And I installed it, put it on, I took a picture, and I almost cried. I was like, this is so freaking cool. I love this. I've just been like a kid in a candy store with mods. It's been so much freaking fun. And I'm loving every second of it. And I have my amazing community to thank for it, because I would never, ever be experiencing this without them. So it's so cool.
What kind of mods would you recommend to someone who is trying them, wanting to try some of them out?
I would probably say there's a few. I have a list on my Twitch page of the current mods that I'm running. But there's a basic one called the appearance menu mod. And basically what it does is it lets you change simple things. Like if you have a car, you can change the color of your car. You can have decor in your apartments. You can fast travel everywhere. You can spawn in a companion, all kinds of crazy stuff like that. That one's been my favorite for sure. And then my chat knows I love clothes, and I love hairstyles and all that kind of stuff. So I have probably over 100 clothing mods that I've installed. A little addicted to that, but yeah, there's so many good mods out there. And actually, one of our community members, Saracen, has created mods specifically for me to use on stream, which is just wild. Saracen's super talented and was making mods in the community beforehand, and we connected on Twitch, and they've just been absolutely amazing, answering all my questions with modding and stuff like that. So it's been really really cool. Such a fun experience.
That's awesome. That's really cool that you have actual community members who are going in there and creating mods for you. Like that's awesome. Very
Yeah,
cool.
we actually have one that we're working on right now. I don't know actually if much of the community knows about it, but we're working on one behind the scenes. It'll be coming out soon-ish. That'll be a radio DJ in Cyberpunk. So through the mod that Saracen's working on, it'll be really really cool. So I'm excited to share that with everybody.
I'm totally curious because this is a game design brain that I've got. Is there any kind of Twitch integration mods that you've been able to experience, or is that something, if you haven't, is that something you would want to do or look at?
I don't know of any Twitch integration mods specifically with Cyberpunk.
Right.
I feel like Corey might have mentioned one. There was something like where you could do a channel point redemption, and it might change your weapon, or like it spins the wheel for a weapon or something like that. I feel like there was something like that, but I haven't tested it yet. On that note, though, I really wanted to try out Detroit Become Human with the Twitch integration, because I used to stream that back in the day, and I never was able to work that out because I wasn't on PC yet. So I'll probably try that in the future because that sounds really fun.
Yeah, I think that's really cool. I think actually, as someone who looks at this game, because I mean the game is huge, it's vast. There's so many different things going on in the game, and I think that also speaks to the possibilities with doing different hooks for your community to maybe tap into. And I'm surprised I haven't seen a whole lot of mods that would make some neat stuff happen. But anyway, I'm gonna put that one on the shelf. Into. Put that one on the shelf. Think about that.
For sure. I think I heard something about someone trying to work on making multiplayer happen, probably like a co-op situation. But I've heard rumors of that, and that would just be so cool to be able to play with somebody else in the community and have it like on stream. That would be so cool. Yeah. So we'll see. I've heard rumors of it, but nothing like official.
That would be a feat. I would love to see that.
I don't know. They haven't announced a date. It's driving me crazy. They originally said first quarter of 23. But we're halfway through that right now. We haven't had a date announced. Their last trailer, I think, said just 2023 instead of first quarter 23. So I have a suspicion. Us in chat, we've been talking about it. There's a big date in the Cyberpunk game where Johnny Silverhand drops a bomb on Arasaka Tower on August 20th of 2023. So
yeah,
that would be a really good time. If you're in a marketing department, I mean, how could you miss something like that? So I'm kind of thinking that might be the date, but nothing's confirmed.
Interesting. That's good to know. Then that gets the gears turning in our brains, thinking something cool might happen. And honestly, like you said, for someone in marketing, how could they resist doing something cool for that date? So.
I mean, you're so close. You originally said first quarter, but what's another few months? Like, I think that would be a perfect time to release it. Just wait and do it then.
Yeah. How are you feeling with the way that the game has evolved since it's come out? How they've done some extensive updates to really kind of help the player base out. Where do you stand?
They definitely have. I would say. There was a really, really big update. It was actually the month before I started streaming. So it was February 22. And it was update 1.5. And if you're in the Cyberpunk community, y'all know like 1.5 was the update. It changed so many things. It made the game feel like it probably was supposed to be on release. A lot of bugs were removed. It added a whole lot of features. And it breathed like so much life into the game again. I started up a new character, and it just it felt so good. I felt like, yes, this is the game that everyone was meant to experience when it first came out. And it makes me sad because so many people were already turned off to it at that point, and they didn't want to give it a second chance. And that's been a very common thing. I'll get that in chat. Is this game good yet? Is this game good yet? Like I actually have commands in chat that are like exclamation yes or exclamation no. Like, and it will like auto answer. Yes, this game is good, and it has been for a long time. If you have any questions, let us know. Like it's unfortunately it's just the nature of that game. And they had another pretty big update when Edgerunners came out. So it came out right around the same time. 1.6 was pretty massive as well. And that was the time when everything just was brought to life with the community. And it made me so happy to finally see it getting the recognition it deserves, because the developers that worked on this game worked so hard. They put blood, sweat, and tears into this game. It's their entire life for a really, really long time. And I know a lot of them experienced a really, really dark time when the release was so bad. I've hung out in Miles Toast. He streams. He's one of the designers, one of the devs that works on like quests and stuff like that. And I think he's level design. But yeah, he talked about it specifically and was like, it was really bad. Like there was such a bad vibe in the whole office. Like we all were really, really sad and eaten up by it because we were excited to release this thing. It's like our child. And then to have it so poorly received, it was just heartbreaking, honestly. And I think a lot of it was the internet being the internet and being a bit dramatic. It was not a good game on the older gen consoles, but like on PC and like the Xbox Series X, when I played on there, it honestly wasn't that bad. So I feel like it had a really, really hard time. There was a few people who wrote articles and took a few pictures and things like that. And it just became like this really, really poorly received game. And they were immediately fixing it. They were releasing bug patches and stuff for like right away. And it became really stable probably a few months after release, but nobody wanted to talk about that because that's not fun. It's always fun to hate on things, not, talk about the good stuff. So it's just really sad. So I'm very happy to see it be accepted in the gaming world now. People actually realize that it's a good game. It really is. The story is amazing. The story, the music, the characters. I've absolutely loved it since day one. The reason I stream it every day is because I believe in it so much. Like it's the best game I've ever played, and I fully stand by it. So I'm very glad that more people are playing it now.
Thanks for sharing that. I think that's really important to get your thoughts on it. I mean, I would definitely consider you an expert on the game at this point. So
thank you.
Thank you for sharing that. And I was playing it, gosh, I want to say before that 1.5 patch. In the months leading up to it, I was already like playing through it. And I was playing it on PC. I personally didn't have any real major issues. I had a couple minor bugs, but it wasn't a big deal to me. And it seemed like a good experience. So I was also in that whole seeing a lot of what people were posting and saying about the game. It definitely came as a surprise to me that people were so down on it. And so I remember having conversations with other people saying, "Oh, I've been playing it for the last couple of weeks. Seems fine to me." And
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
When I first played it, I did play it on the PlayStation 4 Pro, and so it wasn't obviously recommended to play on there. But I had a few crashes, and I had one bug where I had to just reload the save, and it fixed the problem. So like that was literally all I experienced. I was like, why are people yelling about this game so much? Like it's really not that bad. But I'm also told my chat this in the past that I came from Bethesda games. I played a lot of
Yeah.
I played a lot of Fallout 4, Fallout 76. Fallout 76 has probably been like the buggiest thing, but I've
Oh,
also put tons of hours into it as well. And I'm like, so what? There's a bug. It's funny. You take a photo of it and you can just move on. Like
yeah.
that's all it ever was for me. So, but I see in chat here, Paterna brought up a really good point about the portrait photography in this game as well has been amazing. I got obsessed with the virtual photography with Cyberpunk. That's actually what got me kind of into it in the first place. Is I saw people posting gorgeous photos of the game on Twitter. I was like, dang, this game is really cool. One, it has Keanu, he's like the best, and I absolutely adore him. But then also, it's got this really cool photo mode. I've loved that. I've loved that so much, and I've definitely gotten a lot better since I've moved over to PC and stuff like that. But the photo mode alone has its own community when it comes to Cyberpunk.
Yeah. Yeah, that photo mode is really well done. You know, when I was putting together this picture for tonight, I was impressed. And actually, not to share too much, but like I look at I look at photo modes in games actually, because I think it's such an interesting feature, and it's become so much more prominent over the last several years in games. So I will kick the tires on any photo mode, and I would say that in Cyberpunk they have some of the best stuff for that.
They really do. It's
so well done.
It's so fun. Photo mode is just it's addicting. I'll get to a point in a game and I'll just like pause, take photos, do all kinds of like silly poses and stuff like that. And it's very, very easy to get sucked into that and spend so much time. And honestly, I get sad now when a game comes out, especially with how beautiful games are now. But if they come out and they don't have a photo mode, it makes me sad. I'm like, I want to take photos of this gorgeous game.
Yeah.
And it's honestly a huge thing for me now.
Some of the work I've been doing, I'm a game developer myself, and so some of the work I'm looking at has to do with some photo modes as well. And so
nice.
I would say Cyberpunk, I'd put that up there with some of the better photo modes that exist.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really good. The controls are really nice. With mods, there's so many extra poses that modders have been able to create and add into the game, which is just so fun. The amount of silly photos that we've taken on stream in photo mode is it's so fun. I absolutely love it. So even if you're interested in like literally just photography, you could play Cyberpunk and get absolutely sucked in. I actually saw a post on Twitter, and I think it was he was like the lead of marketing for CD Projekt Red. And he said that he started up a new playthrough for Cyberpunk. And he was like, yeah, I'm finally messing around with photo mode. And wow, this is really fun. I was like, it's about time, man. Like, that's why a lot of us are playing.
That's pretty good. That's funny that it took them that long.
Right?
Yeah. Gosh, yeah. It's a whole thing. And actually, when you deal with games like this now, you know, it's a big 3D world, and like Cyberpunk has such a cool setting. It would be weird to think that it'd be weird that there wasn't a photo mode. And
definitely
not to be able to capture these moments. And I've sat in on your streams, and I've seen you take photos, so I get
sometimes you just get the inspiration and you're like, you know what, let's just turn on the lo-fi and we'll just figure out this photo. We'll sit here. I think it was on Christmas. I spent about 4 hours putting together this one photo. But I mean, granted, I was working with probably like almost 10 characters or something and all posing them and stuff like that. But it was really fun. It's a very, very cool avenue to go down. And Amish Ace was talking about photo mode in Horizon, and there's a huge community that will just take photos of games. And watching Amish take photos in Horizon was good fun. Like just the facial expressions and stuff is hilarious.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that they have a pretty robust mode there with, like you said, the facial expressions. pretty amazing stuff. So I think people could spend time just doing that. I feel like that's a whole, and like you said, there's whole communities that are built around in-game like photography, and so it's such an interesting like subcategory of interest that people have, and it's so hyper specific, but I find it really fascinating. And so
Yeah,
yeah.
it's really interesting because I've known even some people in my community that have started like fan fictions, and they actually get into writing because of the photos that they're able to take and the stories that they're able to tell with the characters in Cyberpunk with photo mode. And I think that's so wild, and it's amazing that it's inspired so much creativity. And it's like sometimes we're like, oh wait, there's a game here with this photo mode app.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's amazing to see what people come up with. That their stuff is gorgeous. I love seeing it.
Yeah. Does your community do anything around sharing photos that they
Yeah,
take?
we have like a photo mode section in the Discord, but
Mm.
I've been talking about it for a while, just haven't gotten around to it. But I kind of wanted to start like an informal contest sort of thing, like giving people prompts to go and take some photos in Night City and all that. So like Cyberpunk or CDPR was doing that for a while for like an official giveaway, and the pictures that people were able to come up with were just gorgeous. So I think that would be really fun to add into the community and just see what y'all can come up with.
I think that's a great thing. I think you should do it, and I'm all about it. I love the idea. I might even participate since I'll be
I
probably
love it.
be
Ooh, you should.
I'll probably be in this game. I may fire it up more tonight since I was
Nice.
already in there. But yeah,
Do it.
do it. Enable me.
Yes.
This has been an incredible discussion, VG. I think it's really cool what you do. I love what you're doing.
Thank
Are you
you.
are you doing like a 1 year celebration when that comes around?
Yeah, I don't have anything set yet, but yes, we will be doing something. I was trying to see where our followers were going to be at because I feel like we're going to be close to 2,000 followers maybe by the time we get to the 1 year. So I'll kind of see if we reach both of those goals, I might make it a bigger celebration. But March 15th is my official anniversary from my first stream on Twitch. So probably somewhere around mid-March we'll be doing something super fun. So I'll keep everyone posted on the socials, but I'm still planning, still working something out.
Excellent. Well, keep me posted. I can't wait to celebrate with you for your 1 year anniversary. Keep up the wonderful work. You have such a wonderful community, VG. I love what you're doing over there. Thank you for everything that you do for your channel and for your community. It's awesome. I'm glad to see it. I'm glad to be around for it, and I really do appreciate you. So
Thank
yeah,
you. I appreciate those kind words a lot. I really, really do. Thank you.
you're very, very welcome. And I'm going to take this time to also just thank you one more time for being on the show. And I'm going to tell everyone right now, twitch.tv/VG Silverhand. Go over there. I'm typing. You can hear the keyboard. This is me typing it out, typing out the shout out. I'm going to
This is a
put
shout out.
this is a shout out.
Oh yes, and you guys, I mean, I'm sure y'all know by now, but our new Booba alert. This is the wonderful voice behind our Booba alert.
That's me. I'm the person who it was so funny. Dr. Nurseman sent me a DM. He's like, "Hey, we got this idea. I'm gonna have VG message you," and it was like out of the blue. I'm like, okay, yeah, no, totally. I was like, it's an alert. I already know it's an alert even before Dr. Nurseman said it. It's like, we got this really cool idea. I wanted to run it past you. I'm like, it's an alert, isn't it?
Of course.
Of course. But I'm so glad. VG, everything you do is just amazing. I highly recommend for anyone to just check out your channel, and I really do appreciate having you here. I do want to give you the floor because we're gonna close this down, and as is customary, since you've seen the show, I always let the guest close it out. So I'm gonna give you a moment and think about what you would like to say as we open up the floor, and as I shout out VG one more time, you guys need to go to twitch.tv/VG Silverhand. And so with that. VG, what kind of final words do you have to say? The floor is yours for anyone who is listening and or watching.
I just want to say, first off, thank you more and more for having me. Thank you for doing this wonderful podcast and highlighting other content creators on Twitch. I feel like it's very easy to look at other people as competition, but I don't like that on Twitch. I like connecting with other streamers and becoming good friends and encouraging each other and lifting each other up. So I absolutely love what you do here. And thank you for having me be a part of it. And I want to say thank you to all the chooms that showed up today in chat. I've been looking at all your comments and all your love and support, and I appreciate you all. Thank you for coming on over here. You guys follow more and more. He's amazing. I like hanging out in more and more streams whenever I can. Just thank you guys for supporting me. This has been the most amazing journey I've ever been on. And I felt kind of lost in life for a while before I started streaming, especially with my injury and things like that. And I didn't know what I was going to be able to do with myself. Being here on Twitch and being a part of this family and this community, I have a purpose. I have a reason to get out of bed every day and to hang out with you guys, and the love and support that you guys continue to give me every single day from the bottom of my heart. I really, really appreciate it. And I thank you guys so much. So I'll leave it there.